Hi, we're going to look again at how to use the electronic tech log, and before I start I just want to go through a couple of definitions to get it clear in your mind. Um, there are three parts to this. There's the pre-flight electronic tech log, so that's the details of who's going to be flying the aircraft, where it's going, who's authorised the flight if it needs to be authorised, and a signature, which is an electronic signature to say it's been pre-flighted and that any deferred defects have been seen. So that's what you do before you fly. You go flying, and that creates a flight log. That is the technical data sent from the little box in the airplane. So it's the date, the registration of the aircraft, the times that the engine starts and stops, the time it gets airborne, the time it lands. It has no concept of who is in the airplane at that point. So those two things eventually get brought together in the post-flight electronic tech log, where you fill in the tech log just as on paper after the flight, and that's where the flight log and the tech log, the pre-flight tech log, are tied together. So that creates a complete record of the flight, and again, it's where you sign the aircraft back in electronically. So having just got that in our minds, let's go to the login page, and this is a fictional Peter pilot that we've created up here, and it's to show you how we go around filling in the tech log. So you click on the tech log menu item at the top, and you choose the aircraft that you're going to fly. I'm going to choose Kilo Charlie in this case, and up will come this page where the date will be shown will be today's date. You would not normally have to change that because there was no actual flights today. I am going to have to change it. I have to go to drop that back to the 28th of January when I know that a flight took place, so we can demonstrate it properly. So having checked that it has got today's date in, you then go add new. Now the first thing that comes up, it says that the mandatory check is due on the 28th of January. We've got 8 hours 48 minutes to run, 52 days, so on and so forth. And it's got the defects in here that we know about, so you can read those. So first flight of the day, you're going to be doing a daily A check on the aircraft, and you basically sign it by putting in your passwords here. So you're signing that you've done the A check. You're also signing that you've read the defects. So you type in a password, which I'm hoping I can now remember, and it takes you to the next page, which is the pre-flight page. So this is just the same as the paper tech log. You would have filled in the little box at the top right with the A check. Now we come on to the individual part. So your name is already in there, and you'll see down here it says authorised by an instructor. Now that would only apply if you're a student going on a solo flight. Otherwise, as a licence holder, you don't need to be authorised. You do need to tell us what sort of flight you're doing. Is it a hire flight or is it training? And we're asking you to put in where you're going to. So a local flight, you could just put in the Shobden code or type local, and a rough approximate time that you're going to go for. We're trying to keep a record of oil now, so if you put any oil in, we'll upload the title there. This maintenance flight does not apply. That is, as it says, for maintenance flights after post-maintenance, so please don't tick that. When you're happy that you've done all that, you tick the box to say you're accepting the aircraft as pilot in command. Information. Type in my password, and again, if you had to have the flight authorised, you'd need your instructor to type in their password there. But as a qualified pilot, you don't have to do that. You then press enter. So you're now presented with a page that's actually not dissimilar from the paper tech logs we have. The boxes at the top tell you that the daily check's been done and who's signed it. We've got a repeat bit of information about how many hours we've got done today and when the next check's done and all the rest of it. Maintenance records and all the other bits and pieces there which you can read through. And then as the airplane flies several times throughout the day, each line here will get added on with extra details. So at the moment, we've just got that one flight that's showing that we haven't yet done. So it's just like the tech log on paper where you would have filled it out saying what you're going to do, but there's no information there whatsoever. So off you go and you fly, and by the time you come back, somebody else has done something else. They're looking at the calendar. You need to log in again. So you log in again, you go back to your dashboard, and once again you click on tech log. You flew Kilo Charlie, so you press that again. And now, again, I'm just having to change the date here, but normally this wouldn't be the case. It would just be the date, the day's date. Now we put in update because we want to update our log. There's that same page we saw before, but you'll notice the little plus sign on the left-hand side. So you click on the plus sign, and now we get the post-flight report. Now this is the clever bit. This is where you choose the details of the flight. This is the flight log with the data of the flight. And there will probably only be one choice, because on the basis that if everybody fills in the tech log after they fly, all it gives you with is flights for which there is no associated tech log. So the only time for that specific aircraft, so the only time you're going to see more than one of these is if you flew away and landed somewhere and came back. And then there would be 2 sectors to do. So you'd have the choice of 2, or if it was a 3-leg trip, there'd be 3 legs or whatever. But basically, normally it's not going to be a big choice, and you're going to know exactly what it is. So you put the times in, you select the appropriate tech log. If you did circuits and you did more than one landing or whatever, you can put that in. And then just as before, post-flight sign-off, tick the box, put your password in again. And here we're going to click on save and go back to the tech log, actually. Save and go to the tech log. For the training record, that would be for an instructor to use to go and write up the student's training record. But on this instance, just use save, go back to the tech log. Back you come to this page. And now we've got the complete page of the tech log, very similar to the paper one. So there we've got the date, the flight date, the registration, who the captain was. There would be a student if there was an instructor flying a dual thing, what the type of the flight was. If it needed to be authorised, that would be initials. The acceptance at the beginning of the flight by the pilot's initials. There go the times, brakes off, take off, landing, brakes on. So you've got a brakes off on time for your logbook, and you've got an airborne time which counts towards the aircraft maintenance. Initials after flight, no maintenance involved, and landings, 4 landings. And here you see nil defects. And you notice that previously we didn't have an opportunity to put in any defects. So that's the tech log side of it completed. If there were defects, then this is how you do it. You click on aircraft, you go, oddly enough, to aircraft defects, you choose the correct aircraft, and you now have, there's existing defects that we know about, and you now have the opportunity to enter a minor, a be aware, or a serious defect. Now, minor or be aware, you just write it in here and it gets added. Once you get to serious, it's a little bit more relevant. It's related to the actual flight. So once again, we need to choose a flight. If you're putting in a serious defect, we need to choose a flight. So we can put that in and we can say that the propeller fell off, and we can enter that defect. Now, what happens at this point, again, sorry, slight delay because my internet's playing up here, but what happens at this point is that it will get added. Here we go. So we've got it on the top now, propeller fell off, new defect. Now, if we go back to that tech log and we look at that one again for Kilo Charlie, and we look for a specific date range, so because it's a complete tech log, so I'm going to well, in fact, we could do the same thing. I can go back to the relevant date and I can say, let's update the tech logs. So there was a tech log we've done, but now you can see at the end there, we've got this little triangle, which indicates that there's a major defect that was associated with that flight. If it's a minor or a serious defect, you'll just get a number in there, 1, 2, 3, whatever defects there are. So that's how you put a defect in. As always, with this type of thing, have a chat with an instructor, have a chat with the office staff before you go writing in defect. Things about putting in a serious defect, like I just did, is it sends an email straight away to the engineers. So I'm going to cancel that fairly quickly, or they'll be getting in a panic when they open their email tomorrow that the propeller's fallen off Kilo Charlie. That's how you do it. As always, if there's any questions, always feel free to email me at headoftraining@shobdonairfield.co.uk, or give the office a shout or whatever, and I'll try and help you through it.